Hey folks, welcome back to Trucking and Politics. My name is David. I wanted to start this video out with some good news. There's not been much good news going on here lately, but we sold the house. And I know a lot of people probably don't care or don't know what I'm talking about, but if you follow my channel, you know the struggles that I've had with that other house for the last 2 years trying to sell it. It wouldn't sell. We tried to rent it. Renter lady tore the crap out of the house. We had to remodel again. That was the video I put up about the railing. That was the last thing that the buyer requested, was that we put a railing up for him. He said he didn't really care what type of railing it was, as long as there was something for him to hang on to. And I said, man, if it takes that to sell the house, let's do it. So I threw a railing up, and I decided to do a video there while I was doing it, and almost got heat exhaustion. It was upper 90s, really high humidity and everything. So whew, a big sigh of relief. We sold that house. The money's in the bank. We didn't make a ton of money off of it, but it's out of our hair. We're getting caught up on everything. And I ordered some new video and audio equipment. Also, you may notice I've got a new hat on. Went for a job interview today. Got me a truck driving job. It's going to be a company job. We still have a lot of stuff that we need to get caught up on and stuff. So company driving for now. I'll probably, as time permits, if we can grow the channel and everything in my time off, when it gets cooler, maybe we can go back and work on the Kenworth. So that got me to thinking. And actually, I was talking to one of my subscribers, and he brought up a subject. Was the older trucks, you know, my truck is an '05 Kenworth T600, and he was like, saying, were the older trucks really that much better than the new trucks? At that same time, I watched a video of Old Guy 379. If you guys don't know his channel, he's on YouTube. Really, really good guy. Really enjoy watching his videos. I think if I remember right, his name is Glenn, and I may be wrong about that. Sorry if that's the wrong name for you, sir. I don't mean to give a wrong name out, but I believe that's his name. He talks a lot about the old days of trucking. He's been out here, 3 or 4 months at least. No, he's been out here for a while. He's been trucking 30-something years, and it got me to thinking about fixing my old truck up, and going back to being an owner operator. I just did a video about how the market is about to shift, and tied it in with the presidential debate, and I really believe that's true in my heart. And talking about this old stuff, older trucks, trucking the way it used to be and everything. And it got me to really thinking, was it really that much better back then? Now, as far as me driving, I started in the year 2000, 24 years ago. I started driving. And my father, my brother-in-law were older than me, and my dad was trucking back. I remember him showing up at the house with a cotton hauling truck. He worked at a cotton gin, and that had to have been mid-70s, what I'm talking about there. Straight truck. I'll try to put a picture up of a cotton truck if you don't know what one looks like. But he would show up at the house with one of those. My brother-in-law, excuse me, he ran, through the 70s and 80s into the 90s. I rode on the truck with him in the mid 80s. So I have extensive knowledge of older ways and means, the way truck drivers used to do. And myself, I guess I'm a veteran, if you want to look at it that way. 24 years, I'm still learning as we go. I don't claim to know it all. I know a little bit. I've caught a little breeze here and there of some information along the way. But it's not really about the trucks, but then again, it is about the trucks. That's what Old Guy 379 was talking about with his death video. If you haven't watched that, go watch that. That's a great video. I watched that twice, actually, because I enjoyed that video so much myself. The thing is, we've all got memories. And I think that's what a lot of people connect with the old days of trucking. You have to think, even when I started in the year 2000, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a GPS. E-logs were just a mention. We didn't have them, but they were being mentioned, and everyone was like, I don't know what an E-log is, or electronic log. I guess it's something you do on a computer. A lot of guys didn't even know how to use the old Qualcomms. Remember the old Qualcomms? I'll put a picture up of an old Qualcomm here that we used back in the early 2000s. They were like, is it something you attach to that? Doing those paper logs, I ran loose leaf back in the day, and it's not because I wanted to run illegal. I mean, there was times I stretched it a little bit, I'm not going to lie, but I wasn't getting out here and just busting coast to coast moves. I wasn't that kind of driver. I wasn't a pill popper or, carried the toothpicks in the little glass vial. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, let's just leave it at that. But I wasn't one of those truck drivers. Mainly I worked Monday through Friday. I've been very fortunate in the area that I live in that I've had Monday through Friday jobs. For the most part in trucking, that's what I've done for 24 years is Monday through Friday. I'm thankful for all the trucking companies that's allowed me to work for them. There's been a bunch. I'll be honest. There was a time I was a job hopper. A lot of those companies don't exist anymore. They were little small mom and pop trucking companies. Trucking companies are all over the place. They were back then. Some wanted to run you really, really hard. Some didn't want to run you at all, even on paper logs. And that's true. I remember working for a local guy right here, close to where I'm living at. I would run, 2,700 miles a week on paper logs. And that's about all he wanted to run. He got his drivers home Wednesday, spent the night, we would leave out Monday, go deliver on Tuesday, come back on Wednesday, take Wednesday night off, head back out, did a short run, was back in on Friday. That's the way he ran his trucking company, and it was on paper logs. So for people to say, oh, everybody just ran illegal back then, that's a lie. It is an absolute lie. That's not the way everybody ran. What I saw out of it myself was trucking companies were self-ruled, self-governed. This was, the pre CSA rules, the pre overruled and regulated, things. And that didn't come until, early 2000s, 2003. 2000 was whenever Bill Clinton enacted the federal motor carrier. he was responsible for that. Thank you, Bill Clinton, for destroying our business, passing that crock of crap. But that's what really destroyed trucking right there, was having the government overreach in it. But yeah, I mean, trucking really, the thing I miss about it personally is the brotherhood. There was a lot of women truck drivers back then, so I guess you could call it, the brother and sisterhood. The working together. I remember, back in the day, remember the old levers that we used to have and the pull-outs on the trailers, to get them unlocked? You'd get a 45,000-pound load on there, and that thing was stuck. It was like trying to push a boulder. You weren't moving that thing. And guys would get other guys, or, service guy would be walking across the parking lot and, hey, would you spot me on my trailer? I'm going to go rock it. Will you pull the arm out for me so I can weigh my trailer? Axle it out. Nowadays, you'd be lucky to have somebody flip you off when you ask them for something. I mean, truck drivers are just not together like they used to be. And I miss that. I remember there was a time, and I work for MS Carriers. I've said that on the channel a bunch of times. I got tired one night. I mean, I just got exhausted and tired. And nothing really wrong, physically wrong. I was just tired, I'd been running hard. And I pulled over under an overpass. A lot of truck drivers did that back in the day. Don't really understand why they wanted to park under overpasses, but a lot of guys did. I guess to shade themselves from the sun or something. But this was at night. I pulled over, hit my four ways, and I just laid down on the steering wheel for a minute. And I wasn't there 2 or 3 minutes, and I started hearing everybody call out on the CB. They called us movie stars, the MS Carriers. Everybody had a name for everything back then. They called everybody that drove for MS Carriers movie stars. And, I heard on the radio, movie star, you okay? Do you need some help? And I was like, no, I'm really just tired. I'm okay. Is your air working? Yeah, my air's working. Everything's good, man. I'm just really tired. And it wasn't just a few minutes after that. A big Peterbilt pulled up behind me. And if I remember right, it was an orange Peterbilt with blue stripes, chicken lights all over the thing. And the guy walked up and handed me a ice cold Mountain Dew. And I was like, what are you doing? What's going on? And he said, I heard, a guy up the road say they thought you had heat exhaustion because your air conditioner quit. And I said, my air conditioner's fine. I'm good. And he said, well, I guess they got it mixed up on the radio or something. But anyway, here's a Mountain Dew, help yourself out there. And can you imagine that happening today? I mean, really? Can you imagine that? That is the kind of stuff that people miss about the old days. It's not really about the trucks. It's not about the paper logs. It's, it's not about running 85 miles an hour in a 55 zone and running, DOT bumper to front bumper of your truck in a line and a convoy, like we used to do back up in Ohio when the speed limit was 55 and all the the cops was lined up in the median, if you remember those days. I mean, that was stress, trying to get through there without getting a speeding ticket. That's not about, the good old days is not about stuff like that. It's not about outlaw trucking. A lot of younger people think that's what trucking used to be. It was just outlaw trucking because they see movies like Smokey and the Bandit and Convoy and all this stuff, and they relate it to that. And it's really, that wasn't the day-to-day thing. In fact, the old trucks sucked back then. My brother-in-law, he had a 76 cab over, Freightliner cab over. It probably had the 11-1 Detroit, if you remember those little gutless 11-1s in them. And the thing was broke down all the time. I mean, it was constantly broke down. We were going from one shop to the next. It wasn't that old of a truck. It's just, there's a reason you don't see that many of the cab overs on the road anymore, because most of them are flaming pieces of crap. Even when they were running, they were flaming pieces of crap. They really are now. It's just, and the air conditioner in that thing, I was just talking about my air conditioner, saying that my AC had quit, with that guy talking about, or bringing me the Mountain Dew and stuff. My air conditioner was fine. This was 2001, when this thing happened. And, it wasn't anything for that old cab over my brother-in-law had for the AC coils to be froze up on that thing, daily. He just got to the point, a lot of times he was like, I'll just shut it off and we'll roll with the windows down. And I was like, no, let's don't do that. Let's don't do that. Let's get the air conditioner fixed. Well, I've had the thing worked on 10 times. It won't work, and it wouldn't. I mean, it was just, they were old junk trucks, but I think that's where a lot of people relate this to, the good old days, the good times. Fuel was cheap, but rates were cheap. People were running for 50 cents a mile back then. Owner operators, independents, they were running 45, 50 cents a mile back then. Yeah, fuel was $1.09 a gallon. Sure. 50 cents a mile. We're running, $1.80 to $3 a mile now, in that range, and fuel's what, $3.50, $3.80 a gallon. So, I mean, it works out. You're not really making any more. Trucks are 4 times as expensive as they were back then. A lot of trucks, run up into the 600,000-700,000 mile range. If you do the maintenance on them, they'll run 600,000-700,000 miles without that much shop time. Back in the day, you could have a 200,000 mile truck that was ready to be rebuilt. The whole truck, not just the engine, the whole truck was junk. And I know some people will disagree with me. They had an old cab over Freightliner, they put 3 million miles on it and never did anything but changed the wheel seal on it, and that's great. If you want to tell your story, then, tell your story. I don't really believe that, but, it was more about, we had a way of connecting with truckers, with trucking and truckers. We were our own social media. CBs were our social media. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have GPSs. We would leave the office with handwritten directions on where to go. If you get confused or if you have a problem, stop and call us. Well, stopping and calling a lot of times would be, trying to find a shoulder in a city somewhere to stop, put your 4-ways on. I've walked up to people's houses before. I have. True story. I have walked up to people's houses and knocked on the door, and an old gentleman or, an older lady maybe might answer the door. And I'd say, hey, I'm a truck driver out here. I'm lost. Can I possibly use your phone? Yeah, come on in. Yeah, come into their house and use their phone to call the office and say, hey, I'm at the corner of so-and-so. I'm lost. How do I get out of here and get over to the warehouse? I've done it, Payphones were at a lot of corners back then. You had to have a pocket full of change, As soon as you started talking, the operator would come on, deposit 75 cents. And here you go, throwing money in the thing, trying to get it going. Yeah. They were good old days. They were tough days. That's back. One of my friends likes to say that's back when men were men, but there was women truck drivers too. So I guess that's when women were women too. It was good days. It was, but I think a lot of people get confused on what good old days were, what good old days meant. It's not about, running hard and staying up all night, talking on the CB and, flirting with the waitress at 3:00 in the morning, drinking a cup of coffee, trying to get woke up. Some people did that, there was actual restaurants back then where you could actually go in and sit down. A lot of them were open 24 hours, So much stuff has changed for trucking. The trucks have changed. Trucking has changed. The government has changed. Everything has changed. You don't see anybody walking around wearing polyester shirts with butterfly collars and bell bottoms anymore. Times change. Things change. Remember, Larry? I don't know. I think that was a running thing back then because Larry was on Three's Company, but there was this like a stigma thing about Larry in general, not just the Larry from Three's Company, but just the Larry guy. He was just this imaginary but real guy. There was so many of these guys out there. They have the curly hair, the hairy chest, the polyester shirt with the designs on it that was unbuttoned down to here, and they had the gold chain on, and they were the womanizer guys, And I think Larry played that part perfectly well in Three's Company, So that was the 70s guy. I saw some truck drivers out there wearing that style too. In fact, my brother-in-law had remember the old Levi pants, the polyester Levi pants? I'm not talking about blue jeans. The ones he wore were blue. I think he had a few black ones too, but they were polyester stretch pants, and they had these snaps on the butt pockets. They had like this design on a flap that covered your butt pocket, and it had a snap on it. Oh, he wore that. He wore that with cowboy boots and, a shirt usually that had the lines on it, kind of like a Garth Brooks shirt, but they were closer lines than what Garth Brooks had, and cowboy hat. That was truck driver style back then. Kind of looked like Pigpen, from Convoy. So I think he even wore the vest too. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what people's thoughts are. I was just trying to do a fun video for you here because I'm in a good mood. We sold the house. I'm so relieved. It's like a ton of pressure off of my chest and shoulders for selling that house. And, got a job. We're going back to work Monday. I've got some new audio and video equipment coming in. We're going to be doing videos back in the truck, hopefully doing some better videos, more maybe driving type videos, because we've got some stuff coming. Don't know exactly when it will be here, but getting some stuff going for that to help better the channel and do a little better video out here, be a little more mobile with it. Let's see where the channel goes, and put your stories down in the comments. I love reading them, and hopefully this video will get more views than what my last videos have gotten. I love to hear your comments. I really do. So put your old stories down. Put your old comments about the old days down in the comment section. I want to hear, what you think. Was the trucks better back then? I don't really think they were that good a quality myself. Some of them were, some of them wasn't. But did you like paper logs? Shuffling through 3 or 4 pages, trying to figure out where you were for the day, trying to make your fuel match up with what you were doing that day, and pulling over and taking a 30-minute nap, trying to get caught up on your sleep. Was it really that much better back then? Even though we had so much more to deal with back then, it seemed like there was a lot less stress in it, because it wasn't that fast of a pace for the most part. We were a lot slower paced back then, and I like that. Trying to bust out 3,500 miles a week nowadays, that's not good. It's not good on anybody. So anyway, I'll end the video, and thank you guys for sticking with me. And it's been a rough 2 years for me. Been a really rough last year for sure for me, but things are turning. Got the house sold, got that out of the way, got caught up on all the bills, got some stuff ordered to make the channel better. And Monday we're going to be back at it. I don't know when the next video will come out. Maybe I'll try to do 1 more or 2 more before next Monday. But if I don't see you between now and then, happy July 4th. Don't forget what July 4th is about. It's our Independence Day. Celebrate your independence. Thank God that we're in the United States of America. Thanks for watching.